Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Charter Tech Drive Your Business podcast. It's the big premiere.
The premiere! We filmed this a few weeks ago, and like everything else in our lives, there's a huge learning curve, so bear with us.
All right, so I'm going to do one. This is fine.
Am I doing now?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing. We don't even know what we're doing right now.
Nope.
So,
So in this episode, our first ever episode, we talk about what Charter Tech is, what it's going to do, and we're pretty excited about it. So check it out.
And we are school bus transportation owners ourselves, so we have lots of crazy stories. And in this episode, we share one of those with us with Bus 2.
Bus 2. Good Lord. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I drop a bombshell on Meg here with Bus 2.
Yeah.
So if you like what you see, if you enjoy the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and stay in touch with all of the latest Charter Tech updates and new podcasts. You'll be in the know with all the up-to-date content.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first Charter Tech Drive Your Business podcast. My name is Stephen Fessler.
And I am Meghan Smyth.
And we are the co-creators of a new exciting software that is soon to be released called Charter Tech. And Charter Tech is the software that will drive your business forward.
Forward. Yes, it will.
So first and foremost, let's talk about ourselves a little bit, just to give the audience an idea of who we are. We are actual school bus owners. We own a transportation company called Superior Bus Service outside of Philadelphia, Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. And we have owned it for about 10 years or so. Before that, it was my father's business. So Superior Bus Service has been around since 1982.
I can't believe your dad ran that for 30 years before we bought it. Like, can you imagine?
Those were different times.
They were different times.
He definitely had no need for any kind of software like this.
Right.
Simpler
times.
Yes, everything was done on typewriters. There was no internet.
Fax machines.
Fax machines. I don't even think he had fax machines in the beginning.
Oh man,
that was a later technology.
Yeah, DOT, the Department of Transportation, didn't really care what people did back then.
Well, I don't know about that. But
it was easier to get away with maybe back then.
So, like I said, we've been doing this for about 10 years or so. I mean, did you ever see yourself running a school bus business?
No way. I'd say I always knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I had no idea that this opportunity would present itself. And, the first time we bought our first school bus, Bus 17, who knew? I had no idea I was ever going to own such a large vehicle in my life.
And now you have 12, which, is small probably in the transportation world, but for just a everyday person, that's a lot of vehicles.
That's a lot of seats. Each bus holds 48 passengers, or 72, depending on how you look at it. So I can bus around a lot of people with my my vehicles. So yeah, no, I never envisioned myself owning a bus company. How about you?
Very, very, very similar for me. Even though it was my father's business, and it's always been a part of my life. I've always been at our property and in and out of school buses, and I was employed there for very long. I definitely had other aspirations. But at the time that the opportunity came around, I was interested, as you were, in becoming a business owner, and just becoming my own boss.
It was nice to just be our own bosses, but also the whole summers off was a big selling point.
So I see you got a mug over there. What do you got? What do you got in there?
In there?
Yeah. What are you drinking today?
That's not for the people to know.
Oh,
It's just water. Just kidding.
Water, yeah.
It doesn't have anything on it, though. It's just a plain old mug.
Mine is, just good old-fashioned.
It's a good old-fashioned?
Yeah.
It's an old-fashioned.
Yeah. No, I'm drinking water as well. I would not be drinking an old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned at this hour?
Not at any hour. I really don't like old-fashioned.
I probably don't either. I don't know. And I'm not old-fashioned.
So anyway, as you can see on this podcast, we are never going to stick to one boring subject. We will go off on tangents. We have no desire in just making this all facts and
boring.
And boring, yeah. It's trying to be a little more positive than that.
Sorry.
But, just to get back on to what we were talking about, one reason we want to do this podcast is to let the world know what the charter tech technology is. I try not to say that charter tech technology, but I say that a lot. So just to backtrack a little bit, we found that our day-to-day could be very messy when we were running our school bus business. And we designed a software just to run our company. And that software could maintain all of our vehicle records, all of our employee records. We could enter in trips, trip requests. Once those things were finalized, we could put them into a schedule that we could see our daily schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, our audience could see the entire schedule.
Yeah, and that became a big deal for us and all the athletic directors and anybody who was ordering buses, because it would really take away this human error of the third party of, oh, didn't that coach didn't I tell you I canceled that bus? You did not. You did not tell the athletic director or the transportation department that you meant to cancel that bus. So we showed up, and this new technology that we created for ourselves really just cut down on that human error, because it was not daily thing, but it happened weekly at least.
Yeah.
It was always something going on, like, oh, where's my lacrosse bus? You never ordered one.
Yeah. So all that communication breakdown was gone, and basically we were able to tell our customers it's real time. If you don't see something when you log into your account, it's not there. As soon as we would enter anything in on our computer, it goes up to that magical cloud. And then they can see it on their computer. So if you see something on there that you didn't order,
mm-hmm.
They could tell us. Or you see something that you thought you ordered but it's not on there, we could attack the problem before it became an issue at the last moment.
Yeah. I mean, then there were some errors still. It's not 100%. You still have to talk to people, which is great. But yeah, it really did cut down 99% of our problems. It was amazing.
Yes. And also, it has brought us a lot of new clients. So when and maybe some company there or some school, their normal bus company couldn't handle one of their trips or a series of their trips, and they would call us to try to just cover it. And then they would see how nice this software system that we had in-house was. And then, next thing you know, we're doing all their sports or anything that they needed. Yeah,
that's happened several times. But you think about it, too. It's like all these extracurricular activities, which is mainly what Superior Bus Service does. There's so many things to keep track of. Some schools have 5 or 6 sports going on per day where they need all these buses. And, again, where's my lacrosse bus? Well, you didn't order one, So it really was this whole program was able to write down every sport, every date, every bus that you had coming. And it was just a big deal for us too. It just made our lives way easier. So yeah, that was the main reason we created it. Yeah. But it does a lot more than that.
Sure does. Yeah.
That was a good segue right there.
I mean, having all your employee records in there.
Yeah.
And it also provides updates or alerts when say Joe Smith's physical is about to expire, or he needs to go get new fingerprints done or whatever. We have all that in our system, and it alerts us when these drivers need to keep up on their stuff. Because even though they're supposed to do most of that, they don't always.
Right.
Sometimes if you're looking through all this paperwork, you realize, hey, he didn't go for his background check, and that's a year overdue.
Yeah. Well, also no offense to the PennDOT, but they also lose paperwork all the time. So it's like, well, I did my S-card endorsement, or I did my physical, but they never received it. So then you have to figure out what's going on there. So it's a really great program to keep track of that stuff. Like, oh, Joe, where's your physical?
Yeah. So, I mean, so far we've been talking about our in-house software, which we only just call it the system. That's all. Is that person's paperwork in the system? Is the system updated?
Is the system going, doing this? Yes.
But then we decided that why don't we offer this to the rest of the world? Like, why are we the only ones
benefiting from it?
Yeah. So that's what we've spent the last couple of years doing. We've been developing a app that's a little prettier than the system that we use.
Yeah.
And we want to offer it to the world. And we also just want to talk about it here and hopefully have some guests on that can help us develop it further, because we really want to hear what other companies, what their pain points are.
Yeah.
And we would like to, bring people in and talk to us, and we will put that stuff into Charter Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And just develop it so that it's a great running system to allow all the bus companies in the world to run better and more efficient.
Right, and we're almost ready for the launch. It's still in development at the moment, but it's almost ready, so that's why we're just getting started. Looking forward to this podcast and promoting Charter Tech, but also just having a bit of fun, because the school bus industry doesn't always look very fun. It's not always fun, but we want to make sure we're getting everything a point across of funny stories, what we need to do to fix our lives in the bus industry, not just our lives in general.
Or any stories. I mean, there's a lot of just crazy stories.
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely going to talk about those here on this podcast. And, we have a lot. We know anyone out there listening probably has a lot. And we want to hear about them. But like Meghan said, we are still in the development stage of the software. There's still time to have you come in and let us know what your ideas are. And, just points for us to consider. And, even when the software's out, we will still continually talk to anybody and listen to anybody's advice or issues that aren't being covered with our software, but could be to run their company a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, we really do want this to be a one-stop shop for everybody.
Yeah.
And, we only have this small business, but we know what our problems are, but we don't know what everybody's problems are. So getting out there, talking to more school bus owners, more schools, I think that'll really help with the development and how this could be a one-stop shop for companies.
Definitely. So you got any funny stories you want to share on our first episode of Drive Your Business?
It was so many. It depends from week to week what's going on. The transportation departments, the athletic directors, but I think our most recent one was Bus 2.
Oh, yeah, Bus 2. Do I even want to relive that?
Well, I can give the quick. We had a bus go. So we're just outside Philadelphia, like 8 miles, and we went up to the Poconos. We took a school up there for a Kalahari resort, and the bus got up there, did fine, but there's a lot of mountains. I mean, not like real mountains, like Colorado mountains. It's our own little Appalachian Trail. Mountains, but it got there, got the people there safely, and then all of a sudden it kind of just stopped working.
Yeah, so again, Superior Bus Service is a small company, and we do not have an in-house mechanic. So we use a third-party mechanics, and one in particular is our buddy Chuck. And at this point, I feel like we can call him a buddy because I have his personal cell phone number. I can text him at any point, and he will, give me his advice for no cost.
Thanks, Chuck. You're great.
But we can give a shout out.
Shout out to Plymouth Fleet.
Plymouth Fleet, yes.
He's our go-to guy. Plymouth Fleet on Butler Pike and Conshohocken.
So the issue that was happening with this bus, and I will try to explain it the best I can, not being a mechanic, but there's a big hose in there that does this thing, and it's plugged into this big pipe, and for some reason there's like oil. There's a lot of oil inside the engine, inside the hood, and because of that, slickness, this pipe was coming out of this hose. When that happens, the bus doesn't have any power. It really struggles.
The oil was sputtering everywhere, right?
So, well, that it is from another issue.
Okay, all right.
But that was causing this pipe to come out, and it makes the bus go a lot slower.
Right.
So anyway, this happened on this trip. And the driver put it back together, kind of, but he made it about an hour short of our bus yard on the way back. There was nobody on the bus, too.
Thank God.
I should note that. So anyway, I text Chuck, and he said, well, take a couple clamps with you.
Right.
Take this cleaner and a bunch of rags, and he underestimated, or at least I underestimated. He didn't really let me know how dirty it was.
He really were filthy. It was really bad when he got back to the bus yard.
Why is that?
I was like, oh, well, I know you didn't eat lunch. Like, he got back, maybe 4 p.m. And you left.
Yeah, 4 hours later.
Yeah, you left by like noon. So I was like, oh, well, let's go grab some food. But he had to go home and change because he was completely. His hands were just black. His jeans they're bus yard jeans, but they were just still filthy. I was like,
And the oil that was on them was coming off on everything. So I don't even think they would have let me into the restaurant because I would have been sitting down on their chairs and getting oil on them. Anyway, I went up and I met up with this guy, this driver, and we're on the side of the highway,
right?
Which is never fun.
Was it like a busy highway?
Well, it was
where he broke down like a 3-lane kind of highway.
It was 2 lanes in each direction. It was highway, but not like a turnpike.
Right. Okay. Right, because I saw like different stores and stuff. I guess so.
Yeah, and so, but still, there's trucks going by us at like 55 miles an hour, and the whole thing shakes.
Right.
So I'm inside the engine getting this pipe back in, and I put the clamp on, and then we get into the bus and we go about a mile down the road, and he pulls over again. He's like, oh, I heard it pop out. And he could hear the difference in the engine noise.
The acceleration, or is it just like?
Well, both. He would lose acceleration, but he would hear this like hiss that would happen. So then did it again. But this time I was like, got it a lot more secure, just like really worked on it really hard. Meanwhile, I'm getting more oily, more slippery. And we get going again. We go down the highway, and it goes for a long time. So he gets on.
Thought you were in the clear, huh?
I was starting to. And the thing was, we had an option at one point where we could either take the Pennsylvania Turnpike or we could take Route 309,
right?
Through get on in Allentown to go through Quakertown.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? It's running good. It would be a lot longer if we go that way. It hasn't popped off.
Regrets.
So then he passes the 309, and it's about another mile to the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and then he gets on to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I'm like, okay, here we go. But this thing's running good. And I'm starting to feel good. And I'm starting to turn the radio on again, jam out a little bit. And then I should also note that there's a big section of the turnpike between where we were and where we had to go that's under construction.
Most of it's under construction, but yes, go on.
So it's cattle chutes. With just an occasional little
pull
offshoot there to pull over.
For emergencies, but for most of this northeast extension, it's very cattle shooty.
Yeah. Cattle shooty. I like that one.
Please don't shoot cattle.
So anyway, he gets going, and I'm like, I hope nothing happens in that section, because not only is it cattle shooty and has very limited places to pull over, but they're also doing like loads of construction and all kinds of noise. So he gets going, and then I see the flashers go on. What's going on? Why are the flashers on? But he's going okay.
Right.
So he keeps going for a while, and he turns the flashers off, and then they go back on again. And then I see a thing where there's a pull off, and he goes into that pull off. I'm like, no.
Roller coaster of emotions.
So, this happened a few more times, so we don't have to keep saying that. It was the same thing over and over and over again. But with each time, I started to put another clamp on there, and then by the last time, I had a bungee cord and I slip out. Now it's starting to get dark. It's starting to get cold.
Right.
I'm thinking about how I'm risking my life every time.
Yeah, I think we should explain how you get into an engine of a school bus. So a conventional bus, which is the big nose. I don't say anything proper here at Superior Bus Service or Charter Tech. Cattle shooty, big bus nose. Anyway, so you open the hood out away from the windshield, and to get basically into the engine, you have to get into the bus, like step on the tire, get into the bus.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, like, it's not dangerous like when you're at our bus yard, but
Yeah.
on the side of 476.
Right. So yeah, I'm climbing up the side of the bus, climbing up the tire. I'm getting old, so I'm not as, it's not as easy for me.
Plus limber.
Plus there's oil everywhere, so it's
Yeah.
slippery. So if I just kind of slip out, I could easily have a tractor trailer take me out.
Oh, yeah.
Going by the 4 feet away from me. And they don't slow down.
So scary.
I don't know why, but they don't slow down or get into the lane.
There's a broken down school bus. Let me speed up.
And then they put those loud brake retarders.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was scared. I was scared the whole time. So anyway, I at this point I'm like, this is my last chance. I'm putting bungee cord on. I'm doing all kinds of stuff.
Last set of the tools.
And ladies and gentlemen, that got us back. We got the bus back. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm not sure if you do this with your company. A lot of other companies have the luxury of a mechanic, or some even have their own tow trucks.
Right.
I was trying to save us a tow. That would have been probably at least a 4-digit tow.
Yeah, from
price.
Yeah, and I had called a nice tow truck company. I forget their name, but super nice guy, and he was willing to help. But I was like, we're gonna try and get it back. Just get the bus as close as possible to the bus yard. And we track our vehicles, so I'm watching Steve get closer and closer. I'm like, all right, he's getting off the turnpike. And we're not too far off the turnpike. So once he was off that, I knew it was gonna be fine.
So we got the bus back.
It was a heck of a day.
It was an interesting day.
And we had tried to podcast. We're like, all right, we're going to podcast. Like, I had a nice outfit on, had to change out of that because you can't be around oil.
Yeah.
So it was quite a day. And that's only one incident that we've dealt with over the years. I'm actually Gina, who is our transportation manager, who does a great job. She's like, oh, I understand why you're immune to this now. I'm like, yeah, it's just, you can't get freaked out anymore. You got to just, unless there's something really bad, you just have to go with the flow. What else can you do except cry maybe? But yeah, there's been those days too.
Yeah. Sometimes you cry. I got some bad news for you, actually.
Oh no.
I heard back from our buddy Chuck
Oh.
regarding bus 2.
Oh no. What happened?
He says, well, the problems with all that oil and the things that are happening in there, and it's going to be about a $9,500
what?
repair. Yeah.
He can have it.
So
$10,000.
So on our first episode of our Charter Tech,
I'm just looking at the business. People.
Meg finds out that one of her buses is done. It's pretty much done. Do we have trumpet sound effects yet?
I was going to do the
Okay, I'm playing taps, but you're...
I'm doing a Man, that sucks.
Yeah, so he suggests that we move on with that one.
Oh, well, thanks for telling me in front of our large audience here. That will someday happen.
Everything is content now. Everything is content. So those are that's just our most recent stories. That's just last week.
Yeah.
We could go on and we want to hear other people's stories, and we should have fun with that or commiserate together.
Yeah.
And let's come up with a good software that is good for everybody.
Right.
And,
yeah. We can't always fix buses, at Charter Tech with our technology, but we can make your lives a little bit easier with the day-to-day. Oh, man.
Sorry to spring.
I know. I can't get over it.
So I think I said we have 12 buses earlier. We don't.
We have 11 now. I think it's time to get the old bus too back.
Lie there.
think it was time to get the old bus 2 back out.
Yeah.
The one has no doors or windows.
Yeah. We have a bus that's in the back of our lot. Old bus too, because we have a newer one.
Eamon's favorite.
That's just a storage shed at this point.
Right.
I think it broke down in probably 1984, and it's been in the back of our lot now since then.
It's so many weeds around it, but it's almost winter, so we can cut all those out. Old bus 2. Rest in peace. I'm just kidding.
Well, I just realized that I said, because we have a new bus 2. We called it old bus 2, but we have a new bus 2, but we don't have any 2 now.
Whoa, man, that's a rough one to listen to.
So that will conclude.
Let's end on a bad note while we're at it.
Hey, we're laughing. I mean, that's really what this is. I mean, it's like we talk about stuff, and it is to the point where it just becomes funny.
Right.
I've had times where I've just been out there doing things like I was last week with Bus 2 on the side of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, where I just started laughing.
Right.
I'm like, this is so absurd how crazy this day is. And I don't think a lot of people realize when they're seeing yellow school buses going down the road, how much is behind getting and keeping that bus on the road.
Yeah, so much maintenance. They really are a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, and not just the maintenance of the vehicle, but maintenance of scheduling and keeping drivers and getting all that stuff.
Keeping drivers, yeah.
And just the paperwork and the record keeping.
Right.
The schedule. I said, how many times am I going to say scheduling? But I mean, that's really the big pinpoint of this Charter Tech software.
Right.
So anyway, that will conclude Episode 1 of Charter Tech Drive Your Business.
Although I was going to say something else real quick.
Oh, God. Okay.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Well, you saying sometimes you're on the side of the road crying or, laughing. You're like, this is absurd. And
both.
Yeah, like the one time, and I'm not going to go into the full story of the bus, what happened, but I just had to say it. We had a broken down bus and I'm dealing with it and I'm laughing hysterically and the police were there. And he's like, I admire your attitude. You're like, you see the good point of this. I'm like, well, either that or I'm going to start sobbing. I have to kind of laugh through things. But yeah, it was either cry or laugh. So I was going with the laughing because it was such an absurd story. But that's for another day. That's a whole story.
Yes, and I have a story for another podcast that involved one of our school buses catching on fire.
Yeah.
and how different that road call was than one such as the one that we just talked about.
Right.
But we'll save that story for another day.
Yeah, we could go on and on and on about stories, so I'm sorry that I interrupted there, but it's...
No, please interrupt me at any point. And again, we are not professional broadcasters. We do not have any sort of background in communications.
Not yet.
We don't even know what we're doing here with this software. It's taken us about 2 months just to work with this software and get this all together.
It's our third business now.
get the microphones and everything. So this is going to be as sloppy. This is not smooth. We are one of you. It's
calling people sloppy. Welcome to our sloppy podcast. I know you like them extra sloppy. So yes, that's our first podcast, and we hope you enjoy it.
All right, we are signing off. You got anything else to say before
I'm Meghan Smyth.
And I'm Stephen Fessler. And we are from Charter Tech, Drive Your Business, and we will help you drive your business forward.
Forward. Thank you.